Oh, sometimes the chill is in the air and you just have to play a little Cuban music to remind yourself that there are good things happening in the world, that there are things that you can be excited about, and that there are people that you haven't met personally or seen their face or been on a video call and you're like, this is the coolest person I've ever met. And that is what we're going to do today. And it's not this guy that I just pulled up on the screen. No, he's going to introduce the person that's the coolest person I think you've ever met. Matt Proctor, how are you? And can you introduce our guest on POS Uncensored today?
I am great, my friend. Do you like a good Cuban sandwich, Nate?
Oh, dude, you know I love it. Miss Havas, that little Havana place. By the way, Matt and I
Oh
are
yeah,
both in
I'm over
Indianapolis,
here
and
jamming.
yeah. Oh, and I also earlier today in a meeting actually with Jason Lee, who had part of our team, just disclosed that I used to sing in musicals back in high school, and I did a Sky Masterson scene in Guys and Dolls, which has a nice Cuba scene there. So it made me think of that. That's why I chose the Cuban.
Nice.
So now I just need to get a little pork, some ham, some pickles. But let's go back. I'm going to bring up on the screen our third person today. Matt, I'll let you introduce our guest.
Yes, thank you very much, Nate. Well, Nate, you mentioned okay when you were on what am I trying to think? You just acted, okay? You were
Yeah.
acting, right? You
Yes.
did some theater, things like that. Same with
Yep.
the amazing Caitlin Caldwell for my team. So she actually did that when in your younger years. And you guys know my background, and my background almost 20 years of restaurants, hotels, bars, fine dining. That's eventually where she went. And so we were able to meet, gosh, over 3 years ago now, around 3 years ago, Caitlin.
Hmm. Yep.
And she was kind of looking for that out, which is what I was looking for. Of how can I spend more time with the kids? How can I get, regular hours and not work crazy weekends and nights and all this? And we were able to connect and make dreams happen. And now looking back, it was an amazing decision. I'm glad she chose to come on board. Straight out of Buda, Texas, the one, the only, Caitlin Caldwell in the house. Thank you for
Oh,
joining.
thank you. I'm
What's
very happy to be here.
What's up,
Very
Caitlin?
happy.
Caitlin, I'm going to go right into our first question. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about yourself. We learned, and even more, because you're from New York to Texas. Just what's your elevator pitch
Hmm.
of who is Caitlin Caldwell?
Yeah. So, just kind of very similar to Matt, like he was talking about, and pardon my voice. I'm under the weather. I started with service industry. Working as a bartender, server, and then I just kind of progressed through that business, doing management, moving into hotels and restaurant management, and I explored a lot of different point of sales during that whole time. And I loved it. I loved how point of sale systems are, how they work, learning about them, programming in them, and then that eventually brought me to the POS Pros office. But yeah, I'm originally from New York City, born and raised. I actually am from there. And I eventually made my way down to the Austin area of Texas with a stint in Memphis, Tennessee for about 7 years.
That
It's kind of the
so
basics.
yeah. So I mean, really, you've covered almost three-quarters of the country, from New York City to
Yeah.
Memphis to Austin. So we'll wait for the last third of your life when you spend time in California, Hawaii, as you continue to move west. Um,
Colorado's next.
huh,
Colorado's next on the
Probably,
bucket list.
there we
probably. I'm
go.
gonna head
Well,
north.
get a little as we learned earlier today, it is actually cold in Austin. Usually I talk to people in Austin and
Hmm.
jealous. Today you're not that much warmer than we are here in Indiana. But as you've done the food service, how did that prepare, or the hospitality, doing working in hotels, how did that prepare you? And what are some of the things that you like, man, I this really helped me as I started working with agents to sell point of sale? What were some of the things were the things you're like, wow, that I'm really glad I had that experience? What are some of those experiences that I'm like, couldn't have guessed this is why I experienced it, but it's really helped me sell
Mhm.
and help partners sell?
I think that some of the things that have helped me is having been in different kinds of environments, from nightclubs to restaurants, fine dining, and then the hotels. I think having experienced all those different kinds of areas when it comes to food and beverage service helps, because you're getting familiar with what a merchant wants, what their environment is like, what their needs are, how they want to advance their own business, how point of sales can help them if they haven't even used them before. So I think that's a lot of it, as well as going from, starting in the early 2000s, just seeing how everything has progressed and changed when it comes to the actual abilities of the systems.
Yeah. And what are some of the differences? And Matt, I'll bring you up on this too, because
Yeah.
one of the things she has more experience in hotels than you do, I believe, though you have a little bit of hotel. You
Mhm.
were more on the restaurant side of things, and she has some. But what are some of the unique things that come up with like the hotels? And we're always trying to find another like property management software. But tell us a little bit about what is unique about those big hotels and the big microsystems that are in most of them.
Yeah, no, great question. So the uniqueness is really that the RMS software that they have, the reservation management software that normally they already have in place, and they usually want to connect with that, or they want at the bar restaurant, that now they want to be able to close out to rooms, and we need to help facilitate that and connect those two together. And yes, Nate, we have been actively looking for a few years. We do have a referral partnership now with an amazing software that can do some hotels, motels, campgrounds, things like that through EPX. So that's been great. We're getting there to being able to have that solution. But yeah, with my background, not you're right, not as much time as Caitlin in the hotel. I did help open a hotel, and it really opened my eyes. I mean, I learned a lot about the functionality and everything that kind of goes into it. And I think that's helped me now, just like with Caitlin, in talking to these merchants about what their pain points are. And for me, that's the biggest thing is, the background. It doesn't matter what your background is. If it's in retail, restaurants, you worked at a car wash, it doesn't matter. That will help you in that industry. We talk about that a lot with agents, to stick with industries and verticals that you're more comfortable with. So yeah, it just comes down to reservation management software, Nate, and seeing if we can work with it.
So, Caitlin, tell me a little bit about your experience in hotels, what that
Mhm.
brings, and what are some of the pain points that are unique, just as someone who's worked more in larger hotels there. I know one in Austin, that what are some of those unique pain points that come in with that reservation management software, being able to manage both retail, food service, and all the property management things that go into it and all the reservations? What are some of these unique pain points that maybe our partners don't think about, as we do have some opportunities, as Matt just mentioned, with referral partners to do some of those businesses like hotels that we have maybe not been able to do in the past?
Yeah, so some of the pain points definitely. When I was working in the hotel, we actually went through two transitions of point of sale systems. And I was very lucky to have been the point person for both transitions. And I think just understanding exactly the information and everything that needs to be available in every area, because if you're having a large hotel where you have multiple restaurants, maybe a coffee place, maybe a grab and go section, so you have that full service, you have quick service, you have retail, you need to make sure that everything's being accounted for, your costs are being assessed. You need really incredible reporting, and if you're not able to really finite all of that information, that's where you get a lot of issues coming up. And then the communication across the board. You have to have a very, very secure system. You're just everything from your firewall, your internet, and all of the systems. If something goes down, everything goes down a lot of times. And you have to know exactly how to work through that.
So Caitlin, can you get Nate and I some
Mhm.
extra Hilton honors points?
Not anymore.
And no, no more, no hookups there. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
the person I stayed on, friends and family, she left and went to Marriott. So I don't have it
Well,
anymore.
I'd be fine with Marriott. That's actually my
No.
preferred choice.
I have
But
the
Yeah.
member, number for all of them.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, and
mhm.
Yeah,
that is
Hilton
yeah.
just sent me mine today, Nate. I'm way behind. They're like, you need to stay a whole bunch more if you want to get to the next level. I'm like, okay, Hilton, sell down.
All right. Yeah, we're specifically talking about loyalty points of all the service, but that is a big piece that pays into what people choose, and certainly in
Mhm.
whether we tend to not, most of our partners are not going to be selling to Marriott, to Hilton. They're going to be selling to single location, to multiple location that may fit into some of those networks, but they're not going to have 150 locations. If you have those connections and
Right.
they're looking for an RFP, we're willing to talk. We'll figure out how to do that. We have a couple of connections that can make that work, but it's a much more complicated sale. more than likely we're dealing with individual businesses. And one of the first things I always like asking our POS pros is, I'm going to start with the positive and then go to the negative and come back to positive. So let's start with the positive. You've been here for 3 years, almost 3 years, Caitlin. What has been a feature or a tool, or maybe it's a whole POS? What's excited you the most when it's something new has happened in the last 3 years that you've been able to bring to our partners that they take to their merchants, that you're like, man, I really like this feature or this POS? What's been new that's rolled out and you're like, man, this is really cool and it excites me?
Oh, that's actually kind of tough because when we're diving into each of our systems, they have their own areas and their own uniqueness. Now, I think something that does get me excited, and I know Matt has talked about it before, is with, for instance, when it comes to restaurants, our quick POS system, they're continuing to work on their development, which is awesome because whenever they talk about something new, it gives us the opportunity to express that then to the agents and the merchants. And that gets me excited is when they're dedicated to advancing the program that's available to them and available to the merchants. I mean, and then when it comes to retail, I was thrilled when we brought Greta on. And I know you had Jake last week because it opened up a whole area that we didn't have really strong. And it was great to get to see a whole new system and how that one works, because that's where I find my interest.
My happy place.
My happy place. My one electronic that I'm okay with.
Yeah. So
okay, where's your bad one now, Nate?
all right. Well, all right. So let's take this, because I get really excited when they bring a new feature and talking about quick and all of as they develop and change. Now let's talk about working with our partners, and we don't need to name names, but let's start with you've been doing this for 3 years. You've had some times where you've worked with one of our partners and they've been in a situation and they've made some mistakes and things that hopefully they fix the next time. But if we tell other partners to not do this, this would be really helpful to getting those final sales. What are some of the things our partners, some of the mistakes, the things they shouldn't have done? Maybe sometimes you were able to overcome it, but it made it a lot easier. What are some of those mistakes that they've done in setting you up and working with you that would have made the sale a lot easier, or even happen if maybe it was big enough that, they promised something and it didn't happen? What are some of those mistakes that you can think of that maybe aren't the best?
I think that sometimes it's great when an agent gets very comfortable with the system and they're able to talk on it. They've seen it, they've experienced it, they've worked with us on it. But sometimes they try and sell a system that ends up not necessarily being the best solution for that merchant and their needs. So if they're pushing a system, it ends up either we're getting put in a place where we're trying to accommodate, but we then need to pivot and it pushes everything back a little bit, because if a merchant's already kind of been pre-sold on something that doesn't end up working for them, we're going backwards.
Yep.
And making those pre-decide expectations, setting them in a wrong way. But what are some of the things that our partners do that really set it up really well, where they put it on the tee and working with you, make it really easy? And you're like, man, these people shoot a really high percentage. Are there things and tips that they do? And you're like, man, I wish all the partners did this.
I think some of it is really diving into getting to know the merchant ahead of time, even though part of our role is definitely to do the discovery, ask detailed questions. But when an agent is very engaged in learning what a merchant wants and they're communicating to us right from the get-go, we're able to have great knowledge to build a good relationship right from the start, to explain everything going on, know what they want, sell what they want. So I think that having that information from the agent kind of off the bat, more detailed than just a couple little words, is always beneficial. And I have agents who do that. I have an agent who sends a 5-page detailed report. You don't have to do that. You really don't. Don't feel like you have to do that. But it's amazing that this agent did. That was a dedication they presented to understanding what their merchant wanted.
Yeah. So Matt, you can jump in anytime if you have questions, or I'll just keep going.
No, you're good. Everything sounds great. I'm trying not to interrupt.
No. Well, and here's, so you've worked with I don't know what the number is, dozens, if not hundreds of partners. You've set up hundreds of merchants, and you're working with them a repeat per times. Are there any sales that stand out over the last 3 years that you're like, man, one, it's a big surprise that you were like, this isn't going to happen. It somehow happened, or they could, or I don't know, what are there some like success stories that are like, man, and you can feel free to name names if you want to when we're talking success stories. When we're talking negative, we're not going to throw people under the bus, but however you want to tell the story. But there's any success stories or surprises that have in 3 years you're like, I wasn't expecting it, and this just worked out. See, I didn't pre-prep her, so she knows to think about it.
I was gonna say, Caitlin, how about I start with one that was more recent?
Okay.
All right, Matt.
Success story for Caitlin. Okay. And this is a longtime PPT agent, moved from Georgia, where we have set up tons of point of sale merchants for him. Now his wife went over to a small little town in Kentucky, and no processing yet at all in this little town in Kentucky, and they're all either using Square, like a really old system. And so Caitlin gets him a demo. Caitlin's been working with him for years, and we do a quick POS demo. And the goal is, this is the main restaurant, and the owners of this restaurant in this little town know everyone. And if we get them to switch, then all the other bars and restaurants are just follow suit behind. And so this was a nice success where Caitlin and I did demos. I think she even did a couple demos with different owners. I even stopped by their little town with my family and had all my kids with me after vacation and ate there just so that I could see their setup in person and meet with the management, meet the owner. And then we continued to talk to them. Caitlin, it took probably 6 weeks of us following up and getting, and we finally got that one closed, and we have Quick doing an on-site installation arriving this Sunday and having an installer there for 3 days because they have a complicated setup, and we want it to go perfectly so that we can scoop up the rest of London, Kentucky. And we plan on getting that entire city under PPT Nation. So that's a recent one. That was a great success that Caitlin had.
I like that. And I like the idea of, owning cities like London. So we don't do things in Britain, but there are lots of Londons in the US. So let's just go every London. No. So
it's a cute little town, and they had a bunch of businesses. So I was like, I'm excited to help them just switch them all over. Get them point of sale systems.
I like it when we show up to a place and there's not a lot of competition. The only competition has been Square for a long time. That is there are still places out there that are not infiltrated. A lot of us live in cities, and so we think that there's 10 people showing up on the doorstep every day, and there may be, but there are still lots of cities and tens of thousands of businesses that aren't getting regular contact with merchant services people and point of sale people, and that is important that our partners go out there and do it.
Hawaii is all Square. So.
Yep.
But that's another success story.
Yeah.
First ever Greta.
There you go.
Caitlin and Alex.
That one was good. Yeah.
Big location down in Hawaii.
Yeah, Alex raves about that situation, and hopefully we see more. And as we've been talking, I can't wait till I can actually get to see a Greta. And I keep asking Matt, as I did the other day, where's a Greta around Indianapolis? So our Indianapolis partners, come on,
we're working on it.
We got to get to it so I can go or where I'm traveling. I'm going to be in New York. I'm going to be in Orlando. We need to put these places here so I can go visit it. All right. You've had a little time to think. Anything else that sticks out, Caitlin? Anything else that, I couldn't believe any of those surprises?
I'm really trying to think. I'm not sure if I feel like any are super surprises, but I definitely, the thing that usually always sticks out to me is, even if it's not a single success, but it's when agents come back to me and say, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
Just getting the setup from the start to the go live. And if a merchant is happy, I love when I get a text or an email or a call from an agent just saying, hey, they love this. They're so happy, because that to me is the accomplishment.
Yep.
Yeah. Makes it all worthwhile.
And that's the whole POS Pros team has been together, since 2015 as it's grown and continued to grow. And you've been an incredible addition, because I hear back from our partners, and I hear, well, one, I've never heard a negative thing from our partners about Caitlin. And,
Sure.
um, I try to, I'm like, really? That can't be that good. Tell me something else. But I also know that it's about consistency. And one of the things that happens and tell me how you agree, disagree, or what you think of this. In my mind, it's about our partners get better and better with each POS they sell. And then I love that they usually are working with the same POS Pro, because they learn the system, they learn the team, they learn how everybody in the ins and outs of all of it. Is that something you would agree with? What makes that change? You talked about learning the system, learning a little more, asking better questions. You agree that they get better at it, and are there other tips that you have for them to get better at selling POS?
Mhm. Yeah, no, I definitely think they do, because the more times that they go through the process, it becomes more comfortable. And I definitely think that if agents have the availability, being on the demos gives them so much more, because every demo is going to be a little different. So
Mhm.
seeing what's coming up, how the systems are working, because they might see something and then the next merchant they talk to asks about it. And they already know. They already know that, oh, I've seen this. It can do this. It's great. It works. So being able to attend the demos, I think, is a great way to become more fluent in everything that we have to offer them for all of their merchants. But for me, I mean, when it comes to my communication with the agents, I try to be very open
Oh,
about everything and very clear.
mhm.
So Matt knows I'm an over communicator.
Ha, that's a nice way to put it. But yeah, that's the great thing about having a dedicated POS rep, is that I
Hmm.
saw Robert jumping in here. He knows he could just text Caitlin, or communicate with
Hmm.
her. And we try to do that across the board. That way you always know who your person is if you just have a question or something like that. Instead of having to reach out to our whole team, or you put in a lead, you're like, I don't know who's going to call me. I talked to Alex one time, Asia another time, Carrie another time. We want you to know who's going to be reaching out. And if I reach out to you, it's usually not good. Something's wrong. So you don't want me calling you. You'd rather talk to Caitlin.
Yeah, I mean, that is our goal at PayProTec all the time, is for our partners to be able to say, I call it the I've got a guy mentality, that no matter what they're doing, what they're talking about, they can reach out to us, whether it's POS or some type of random, weird merchant processing question that's deep into Billy West's mind, that we're going to the highest end of it, that you can be confident when you walk into any situation when it comes into POS or merchant services, that you've got a guy, you've got a gal, you've got our teammate, our POS Pro that is here to help. And man, not enough of our partners are using it, but it's enough that we just know, man, if more do this, we just did an episode on lifetime value of merchants. The lifetime value of merchants is significantly longer because they process longer with us if you get them in a POS. Matt, what have I not
Yeah.
asked Caitlin that we should have asked?
Oh, let's see. Favorite color? Is it like periwinkle or something? What's your favorite color?
It's orange.
Oh, well, that's
Orange.
perfect in the
There you
PayProTec
go.
world. See,
That is the
It
perfect
is
color.
orange.
so hey,
Perfect.
we've got a little um little yeah, a little orange going on around. As I wear the one thing I'm wearing that's PayProTec that isn't only orange. We do have one
Yeah.
orange in but
Well, Nate, I think we should announce, because we did this, for Alex, okay? Because Alex was coming to the NEAA. For any of our partners that can make it and come to that event, Caitlin will be at the Midwest at the MWAA in Chicago. So
yep.
please, we have lots of partners that usually can make it to Chicago. If you have not had a chance to meet Caitlin in person, please try to make it a point to get to that event. And that'll
You
be
chose the
at the
one
very end of
event,
July.
Caitlin, I'm not going to be at this year. I see how that works. But
Aw,
I know.
I,
Sorry, Father the Bride. You're going to be a
yep.
little busy.
I
The wedding.
have a wedding August
that's a
2nd. So that's
much more important place
yep.
to be.
So we
Don't
will have a
worry. Hey,
booth.
you can still
We've
plan an
already got the
event
booth there at
for
PayProTech,
us.
and we'll have a party there. So we'll make sure everybody's there. It'll be my second year in a row of missing MWA. But hey, but go meet Caitlin. It's even better. You don't have to mess with me. You can just meet Caitlin. That'll be better. So, okay, I'm going to ask you. You have a Denver Broncos sign that keeps poking up out there. Do you have any sports? Are you a sports fan at all? Is that Broncos fan?
Yes.
All right.
So that is my husband. I am living in humility land this year with the Giants because I'm from New York.
It
Yep.
didn't stop her from texting me when they whooped the Colts, and I was like, "What the hell?
Oh,
Where's
no,
your
not at all.
Giants team been all year?"
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, well,
We were terrible, but
that was
we beat
embarrassing.
you.
So I will admit.
But yeah, I was actually raised in a hockey household, so I am a diehard New York Rangers fan.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know if I'm not enough a hockey fan to even know whether they're good this
Mhm.
year, but going to MSG is always a fun thing to go watch any sport. So go Rangers
It's
and that.
not been the best year so
Yeah.
far,
Okay.
but we'll see
And
how it
what
goes.
I love about their household, Nate, is that they are Rangers and the Colorado Avalanche. And so when they played in the Stanley Cup Finals, it was right after I had hired her, and I watched
It was
every
close.
single second of it. I was loving that finals from 3 years ago. I was like, I just want to sit in your house right now and hear the two of you go back and forth at each other.
So I've been to
We
two
have a
hockey
lot of
matches or
wonderful
hockey.
things to say to each other.
I've been to two hockey games in my life, both of them Avalanche games, and so I do own in my wardrobe a World Championship Avalanche. I'm sorry, Caitlin.
Okay.
I bought that
That's
when I
okay.
went to the game, but no one's invited me to a Rangers, so I would buy one probably for that too. But and then last, Rob, I see your question out of curiosity. Is there a Canada POS system solution? We do have solutions. PayProTec doesn't process in Canada, but a lot of our systems will work in Canada. So that's something we can ask. If you're looking for a restaurant system, of course, Cluster is a great restaurant system because they're actually based out of Montreal. They're truly a Canadian system. And a lot of our other systems will do work. And it's just not, PayProTec doesn't do Canada. We're just the US. We don't, but we can refer to people that do it well. And we have the sister companies that do Canada. And so we're certainly there to help. All right, Caitlin, last question. Tell me what you've been on the POS Pros team for 3 years. It's changed in multiple ways in those 3 years. A lot of things stay the same. A lot of things go different. But when you describe the POS Pros and what excites you about the POS Pros, what is it? What makes you excited to be part of that team? See, I'm putting her on the spot, Matt.
It's the team.
Yeah.
I love the people I work with. Even though we're all over the country, there's a teamwork there. There's a camaraderie, there's a comfort level, there's, appreciation of each other and working together. And that is something that I love about being part of that office and that team. And Matt promotes that environment, amongst all of us. And it doesn't mean that it's not just me and my ideals or anyone else. It's helping each other to accomplish everything that our office can. That's
Love
what
it.
I love about it.
Oh yeah, I love it. Even though your nose is a little brown, I love it. I love it.
It is not brown. That's true.
So
It's that coaching mentality. Okay, you're only as good as your fifth man. In different areas that I coach. Because I coach the high school level and different things. So thank you for that, Caitlin. Yes, we do have a great team, and we're
I love
always
everyone I
watching
work
each
with.
other's back. So if someone can't make a demo, just like today, Asia's out sick, I'm jumping in for her demo. Caitlin's jumping in on her demo Monday. So we're always there to help you guys out as the agent. So even if your rep is out, our team is still there for you. So I'm glad you said that, Caitlin. Oh, one last thing. For all you football fans out there, Caitlin is a very, very good fantasy football team owner. So if you do have football questions at closer to season, she does her homework, and she's usually up there in the top PPT ranks of fantasy football. Even though
unlike
I
me,
won
who
this
no
last
longer
year,
plays
she's
because
in
I
the
was always in
finals
the
normal.
bottom. I usually have a team of players starting that aren't playing that week and have been injured for 3 weeks. That's how I play fantasy football.
Hey, you got too much going on.
There you
Pay
go.
attention.
That's it. So, Caitlin, we're extremely excited you're part of the team. I'm excited you came on today. We can't wait to see how many more people are going to start using the POS Pros because they've learned a little bit more about Caitlin. And our goal, I'll make a couple announcements, and I'm coming to you, Matt, for a closing word. And
Yep.
but a couple announcements. One, March 17th, we are doing a meetup. I think I don't know how many. We have, I think 9 people have told me they're going to be there. We're doing a meetup around between 4 and 6. We got to find, but we need to know how many people we're going to meet up. We're going to be in the Times Square area of New York City. That other man that was on the screen is also going to be there that on March 17th. So you can come meet up with him. Then we're taking a bus for those who may need a bus ride. I think we have 12 seats left to go down to NEAA down in Atlantic City. So if you're going to be there, we're going to be in Atlantic City at the NEAA booth 16. And so we'd love to have you there. Then April 2nd, we're having another party, Las Vegas, 7 to 9 p.m. at Mandalay Bay at a new miniature golf experience called Swingers. And we'll have a sign up here soon. It looks really cool. Go search it out. If you saw our emails, Josh also made you proof that if you need to tell your proof to your significant other, your spouse, someone else, that it is a golf place called Swingers and not something else going on in Las Vegas. But we're excited. 7 to 9 p.m. April 2nd, right there in Mandalay Bay. When ETA is going on, it'll be right after the first opening reception, and we're excited to be there. We have more events coming. We'll make even more announcements here in the next couple of weeks when we have going up on at SEAA. We're going to be sponsoring there and putting in a booth and having another event, so that'll come soon. We're getting all those pieces put together. I am excited to hear how Matt is going to close us out on our Caitlin Caldwell episode of POS Uncensored.
And I'm glad that you prefaced the Swingers ahead of time with the putt-putt, because I mentioned to some other people we're having this event at Swingers and forgot to mention that, and that just really threw them way off. So, all right, closing remarks. Thank you, everyone, obviously, for joining us. But as you can see, by Caitlin Caldwell as part of my team, she's got a wealth of knowledge. Each of my point of sale specialists, have very unique backgrounds and very knowledgeable in various industries. And so I want to make that very clear, that we kind of cover the full spectrum for you. So please feel comfortable knowing you could submit these leads. We have point of sale solutions. Remember, you can be that consultant, okay? You're not just trying to shove one system down the throat. We have a whole lot of POS systems. So please submit your leads. POSlead.com, and Caitlin and the rest of my team will be happy to help you with any of your prospects. So that's it. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Awesome. On behalf of Matt Proctor, Caitlin Caldwell, I'm Nate Manahan. This has been another episode of POS Uncensored. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.